Welcome to NC Political Tea, the show where North Carolina's political scene gets served piping hot, grassroots style. We're here to shake up the status quo with unapologetically conservative takes and a whole lot of Southern charm. From the halls of Congress to under the dome, we're exposing the deals, the drama, and the dirt that the mainstream media won't touch. Who's fighting for your freedom? Who's selling out to the woke mob? And who's about to get roasted? No fluff, no filters, and absolutely no time for spineless politics. Just bold Republican commentary, sharp analysis, and enough sass to make the left squirm. So grab your sweet tea or something stronger, and let's dive into the hottest headlines and juiciest scandals rocking the Tar Heel State. This is NC Political Tea, where the truth always gets served.
My mom's a citizen.
Your mother's a citizen?
Yes.
But you're not?
Nope.
But you've never been deported before?
We Dr. Phil. We got Dr. Phil.
Yeah? How do you know me?
No, I seen Dr. Phil, on TV.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is an example of sanctuary cities, right? We got an illegal alien convicted of sex crimes involving children. And he's walking the streets of Chicago. Again, the downfall, the problem with the sanctuary city, that people like us walking the street rather than law enforcement working with federal agents. This is what we're dealing with.
Literally, probably the most badass video I've seen in a while on X. Hello, Margot. How are you?
Good evening. Good evening. Nothing like the criminals knowing who Dr. Phil is.
That was hysterical.
That is hysterical.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of like a very empathetic version of Cops. And if he's going to stream that all the time, I am here for it. I will watch it every episode that it plays. That was Tom Homan and Dr. Phil, of course, going into Chicago. I think that was the first arrest that Homan did personally. And it was a bad dude, a bad hombre, as Trump would say.
Well, and the Chicago mayor's now kind of backed down his stance. He's like, the federal government has access and is allowed to go after these criminals. I'm like, oh, you're changing your tune a little.
Yeah. Oh, we'll show deference all of a sudden. That's right. But I got to tell you, even though, ICE has announced its intentions, it's saying, look, we're going to take the worst of the worst criminals that we already know committed crimes like murder, rape, child abduction before they came in, or they've done it since. And so check this out. This is today, I think, in Dallas. But these people plain ass do not GAF. Check it. So it's like they're daring. They're literally carrying foreign flags, obstructing the roadway, which is a crime.
Well, there's also another piece to that where someone walks out with an American flag and they totally accost him, try to take his flag away.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show you some pictures later on tonight on, protesters, foreign protesters, agitators who are actually beating people at our college campuses. And we're going to get them deported.
We're going to get them all deported. Listen, I watched the presser today. Did you watch that presser? It was so good.
I did. I mean, there weren't a lot of answers, and we're going to disagree on all these executive orders. There weren't a lot of answers for some of the things like Medicaid. I thought that could have been a little bit clearer and concisely walked out. But what do you think?
Well, they did have a frequently asked questions section, which I did read through, and it says that no American programs that are currently out there, SNAP, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, all the good ones, right? All the ones that everybody's worried about, they're all covered. Pell Grants are covered. Head Start's covered. You get a car, we get a car. So, I mean, It's kind of, I think it's interesting how the Democrats latched onto that press conference immediately and were like, oh my God, the sky is falling. The sky fell for 4 years and you didn't care.
Yeah. I mean, what we're talking about is a temporary halt of some programs, right? But back to the immigration. I mean, the immigration is the really I mean, that's the big deal. And I think a lot of people are freaking out, but that's why Trump was elected.
Well, and I love it how I can't remember this guy's name. He's on X though, but he was talking about it's not a criminal act to be illegal in America. Oh, yes, it is,
Bullshit.
sir.
Yeah. And I love this. For the first time, guys, Democrats are concerned about the price of groceries.
No, Starbucks. Get it right. I'm just
Is
kidding.
it Starbucks? Okay. But
Coffee.
we went over this a couple of weeks before the election. Here are some of the prices of things that went up under Biden's administration. I mean, gas was 38, actually in some places 50% higher. I never heard the Democrats say a damn thing about that.
No.
Here are groceries, eggs. It's like $6 to get 18 extra large eggs, which
You better be careful saying that. Sloan, people will move to North Carolina because eggs in like DC are like $9.50 an 18 pack.
Damn. I mean, we eat two of those.
Don't be telling people how cheap our eggs are because they'll move here.
Okay, so we don't want that. All right. So, but check that out. I mean, food in schools, etc. I mean, we haven't even gotten the Democrats to say anything about food in schools and the exponentially higher costs. Nothing.
I noticed the list doesn't have Valentine's Day flowers or chocolate on it from Colombia. By the way, for all my fans out there, you just need to know we don't do that on Valentine's Day anyway. It's half price chocolate day on the 15th.
I don't like chocolate. I like gummy bears.
I do too, but I like getting a good deal, and half price chocolate day is a good deal.
Well, you can go the next day, right? Or you can
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you can get chocolate from Ecuador. That's what I hear.
True. Or Hawaii, they have chocolate and coffee.
See, solving problems, dude.
American made.
Solving problems. But it's so tone deaf to do these things, to say these things, because a lot of people have been struggling with eggs. So, and I'm one of them, damn it. So here's another thing. I've been putting this up
where they're free.
Yeah, I've been putting this up because this has been irking the hell out of leftists. If you do follow me on X, you may know that CARE said a bunch of things. I got some death threats, etc. I mean, people are really mad at this. This is what people voted for. And I just want to clarify a few things. So we've been talking a lot about UNC, and the News and Observer here in North Carolina interviewed a few officials up at UNC. So if you don't know, in North Carolina, there are 16 universities within our system. The crown jewel, in fact, one of the crown jewels of public education writ large in this country is Chapel Hill. So
the oldest university.
The oldest.
Oldest public.
Okay, I was going to say.
I didn't want to fight with you about that other one.
Let's not mention the other one in Cambridge. Right. Let's skip right over that. Well, here's the point. The chancellor said, look, we're going to follow the laws. And basically he said the laws haven't changed. The policies have. Here's another Gummy Bears fan. Okay, see?
I love VM. She's so sweet.
We're tracking. And then this lady comes in and says, I'm Babs. Okay. Barbara Stevenson said, look, I have given information in the past to faculty members on how to protect their students. These are not regular students. These are lawbreakers. Okay. So I'm going to give you the reason why an F1 visa or J visa or whatever, any of the reasons to revoke a naturalized citizen or any visa.
Now, are these what they're using as criteria?
This is in the law. This is already in the law. Okay. So affiliation with groups that aim to overthrow the U.S. government by force. Totally makes sense. Students for Justice in Palestine qualifies absolutely. People, I don't know, standing in the quad saying we're Hamas, which happened.
Taking down the flag.
Taking down the flag. That's a good indicator. Antifa, right? Okay. Subversive activity. So if you're a one-off and you're doing stuff like flag burning, lawfare. Let's say that you work in a grocery store and you're going to wear a Hamas symbol and you are not a citizen, and you call the police in bad faith and report someone for a hate crime. Well, you're going to be asked to leave the country right away.
And calling sure of it.
You damn right. Lack of good moral character, like beating the hell out of your wife all the time.
Or going after Jews on campus.
You know, you got a good point there. Willful misrepresentation or concealment of facts during naturalization. I wish that I had the questions, you guys, that are asked. We're going to get the questions. And to my knowledge, we can do a public record request and check to see case by case if these have been answered.
Didn't know that.
This is remember this from the DNC?
Yes.
Okay, so
this our little girl, what's her name? Clayton. She loved this. She thought it was great. Or the Democrat chair. She was all for it.
Why, yes. It's a symbol of cultural understanding.
Anderson Clayton, that's her name, or whatever.
Right. So things like this, carrying a terror flag, this is at the DNC. I didn't hear a damn thing from Democrats, would be on the list. This guy on the left is from Jordan.
The one with the black shirt on?
Yes, and he's at UNC. He's also one of the big leaders there. He leads Students for Justice in Palestine. He's been expelled, etc. He's going down. And old Bab.
What is going on in this picture? Is he going after an American citizen?
Yes.
Oh, my.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so things like that, living in this country is an honor. It's a privilege. It's not a right.
It's not a right if you're not born here.
Right. By the way, go ahead and, call me a xenophobe, etc. I'm married to someone who immigrated legally from Israel. So nice try.
That's funny.
Not going to work. Yeah.
It's funny they would even try to call you that, but hilarious that you would, not get right in their face because I know you better than that.
Well, there's so many. As you know, when you do this job, there's so many, and they're always behind a keyboard, typically. And
so many fans. You got so many fans, Sloan?
I have a couple. I'm not going to lie. I have a couple. So does Trump after he obviously put this up. He said, let me get it up. Hold on. Whoops. So this kind of went out rapid fire. Like this has been going on all afternoon. Predictably, our Democrat Marxist Attorney General said, I'm going to block Trump.
So this is the second time he's intervened on North Carolina's behalf in a suit against Trump.
It's on the Democrats' behalf in service to disrupting the will of the people, if you ask me.
He doesn't serve the Democrats. He serves the people of North Carolina.
Correct. And then a judge, by the way, this just came out a couple hours ago, a judge, no surprise.
Biden appointed judge.
And the DC
Actually,
Circuit.
the first judge that, I don't know if you know, this judge is the same one that took Trump to court in 2017. First time we ever went to court.
Okay. Well, it totally makes sense. They're all corrupt up there. That also needs to be rooted out from the core. But this came out, $50 million.
I can't believe this one. Somebody did the math on this, Sloan.
I mean, $50 million is a lot. I'm glad that they did.
That's like 600 condoms per person in Gaza.
Well, I mean, they're not using it for that. So let me show you what these little shitheads use it for. So they fill it. This is actually pictures of Hamas filling balloons, condoms, with gasoline. Right? You think it's a kid's birthday? They don't treat their children as well as they treat us Jews over there. Okay. Look at that. And they send it over. And let me just show you actually what happens.
Oh, they start firing.
You know the California wildfires?
Wow.
Okay. So to sum it all up, we have our U.S. State Department. It's not the first time. Funding terrorism. And then, you're going to have people on the right say, I don't want to fund a war over there. Let me tell you what, we're funding a war on Israel right now. So we're already doing it.
I mean, honestly, here's how I look at it. Keep it off our soil. If it's already raging over there, go get it. Take care of it. I don't want it, why bring it more here? We already know there are insurgents here. but if we can head it off at the pass, let's do it.
Yeah. And we are watching the news out of Israel, obviously, because it has it plays such a role, obviously, in our landscape here for many reasons.
And you saw Trump invited Bibi over for dinner, I guess.
I did. And this time he'll be coming through the front door.
You're right.
That's right. So, yeah, that's insane. And we also have some more out of control spending that's relegated to things like DEI. So he put a freeze, and I think it was just for 6 weeks, just to kind of get a handle and a harness on where the money's going. And
the military, of course.
Yeah, and it makes total sense. So to talk about all the educational stuff, and we do have a lot to talk about, I'm going to bring in Annette Albright. Let me tell you something. We are the 3 horse ladies of the apocalypse in North Carolina politics. They love to hate on us, and I'm loving every minute of this show. Let me put Annette up from the Republican National Conference, where I think she spoke right before Trump, essentially.
She did.
I left my job in the criminal justice system to work for Charlotte-Mecklenburg School District, to engage our youth before they got stuck in the system. It didn't take long for me to realize that public schools are a part of the problem. Sadly, too many of our schools are more like prisons than places of learning. That must change. In one public high school, I witnessed a full-blown riot. I saw many violent altercations between students and physical attacks on staff. During my 14 years working with the Department of Public Safety, offenders never laid a hand on me.
This is the thing.
Yet, I was violently assaulted by a group of students in a...
Okay. Your backstory is crazy. And now Annette is one of the leading national experts for school safety.
Absolutely.
Living in Charlotte.
Good to see you.
Good to see you guys. Thank you for having me on.
Troublemaker.
Well, we love having you on. It's great to have you here.
Oh yeah, Sloan she has led me into all this trouble and hate, and I am enjoying every minute of it.
Well, join the club. We're actually the welcome wagon.
Yeah, I see.
You're not doing things in this industry if you're not taking incoming fire. What do they say? When you're taking the most flack, you're over the target.
Right. Absolutely.
You're over the target. They can't call you a race. Well, they do. They can't call you an Uncle Tom. Oh, they do. Okay. So they call you all. Okay. When you're speaking truth. Okay. That's.
It is kind of funny to trail y'all on Twitter or X because you can watch the mean-gotten people, which I think they're kind of stupid, but that's a whole nother story. But it's nice to swoop in underneath the comments and kind of, just take a little bit of the flack off of you and vice versa, because y'all do it for me too. But it's funny to see what stupid things they'll say, thinking they're insulting you.
Like, there are people that we don't know behind keyboards. So it's like, you're such a coward. And most of the time, they don't even have profile pics or their real names. It's always these made up names. And I'm like, you're such a coward. Come out and let's talk about this. And they're steadily throwing insults. You're a sellout. You're this, you're that. And it's like, okay, give me a real person and we can go round for round. And, sometimes I just amuse myself with those people. But yeah, it's interesting.
So when you get in front of someone and you do go round and round, how does it go in person?
Shut them down. Absolutely shut them down, because I come with straight facts You can call me a racist, but by your own words, you said I can't be a racist. You can call me a sellout. And I always ask people, what does that look like to you? What am I selling out? I never get a response. It's just, you know what you are.
Yeah, yeah. If you're Black and you're Jewish, you're supposed to vote a certain way. And if you don't,
Right.
then you are a traitor to your people.
Right, right. And it's so obnoxious that you can't even explain the reason you hate me. You just know that you hate me. And when you look at where Black students are in education,
yeah,
84% of Black students are not reading on grade level, and you're mad at me? Make that make sense. It doesn't.
And doing math, we know they're way behind in math as well.
0% proficiency in Baltimore. 0.
Tell us a little bit about the stats in North Carolina, because you can rattle them off like nobody has seen. What's going on?
So North Carolina, they're not pacing far behind what the national average is. I know here in Mecklenburg County, Wake County fares a little better than Mecklenburg, but not that much. So we're about 82% the last time I heard students, Black and brown students that are not reading on a 3rd grade level.
Wow.
So that's very, very concerning. And when I hear people say, oh, Trump is trying to erase Black history. Well, the students can't read. So what difference does it make if the students can't actually read? So, I mean, very disturbing statistics, but everybody is pointing towards the Republican Party when the Democrats have been in control, the last 20 years?
Mm-hmm.
Very troubling.
They have. And so this blew my mind. And we're talking about making federal cuts, right? We're also talking about, wiping out the Department of Ed. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But this comes from top down. This is what you're talking about. This restorative justice, which is part of the reason why teachers are getting their asses beaten. DEI is another reason why. And social emotional learning, which really is having an army of shrinks. Now, we may disagree on this because I want to get your perspective, but an army of government shrinks, in my mind, instead of hardcore discipline policies that are followed. So this is what, taxpayers don't like to see, because as the spending goes up in social emotional learning, which I've covered that's been my beat for 5 years. As that's gone up, violence has gone up, sexual assault at school has gone up, transgender's gone. Look at this. This is in Wake County. This is social emotional learning. Why does a library explore LGBT books in our school library? And it's categorized. This is for 11-year-olds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Salone, it makes absolutely no sense. First, let's start with restorative justice, because we're always hearing people talk about the school to prison pipeline, the school to prison pipeline. Well, where did restorative justice originate? It originated in prisons, and it was set up so the victim would be made whole again by the offender before they were being released back into society. The victim was in contact with the offender, and the offender apologized and made the victim feel, warm and fuzzy, and I'm going to get out and I'm going to do the best that I can. And when the victim got to a point where they could accept that apology, then restorative justice was complete. Sometimes that process took years. When you had
they're not in one classroom with them, though.
Right. No. They might start off writing, and then maybe the victim could, get up to going to visit. Then the offender tells the victim how sorry they are about, committing a crime against them. So when you're talking about something like a homicide and an offender's get ready to get out, that's a real long, drawn out process. So someone at the school thought that this would be a great idea if we put this in the school system. But here's the problem with that.
Who's apologizing to who?
Exactly.
Tell us. Okay, so all right, so Tommy sexually assaults Amy, and do not the left is going to say, oh my God, that's such an extreme example. No, it isn't. It happens all the time. So
well, Tommy punches Amy too.
Okay. So how does that work?
So the way it works is we have this thing, we all come together and we all sign a contract, and we're going to agree that we're going to work this stuff out through restorative justice. Okay. We don't want anyone suspended. We don't want anyone to have to go to jail. We just want everybody to be warm, fuzzy, and loving. So we get in these things we call circles. Okay. And everyone takes turns talking about how they feel. And we acknowledge that is true. I still have the book, the training.
You're screwing with me, right?
Right. And we all acknowledge how we feel. And the offender tells, what made them do what they did. And the victim tells the offender how badly you made me feel, because you violated me. So then after we decide that we've had all these warm, fuzzy, lovey circles and everyone's gotten their feelings out, we come back to the table and we sign a contract and we agree that we're not going to argue. We're not going to fight. We're going to put this in the past. Everybody's whole. And the students sign and we all go off and live together very happily.
No.
Now, if I'm that girl and I go and I beat that guy's ass instead of going through all this, I'm going to be suspended. Now, we know that from Hawthorne Junior High, what happened. We know this from school. So you either accept it and then go to the big kabuki dance, which is what you just described, and then have to re-victimize yourself by being around the victim. Okay?
Absolutely. Well, it is absolutely insanity. And another reason it doesn't work is high school students don't have the maturity to understand the concept. I remember one time I was doing restorative justice, and the things they have to do it about is silly. One teenage girl had a baby, and the other girl called her baby ugly on social media. So they were going to fight at school.
I would have fought. To call my baby ugly, and I will be beating your ass. I mean, to be fair, but
right. So this big argument occurred, and people were able to get to them, and they brought them to me, and I had to do the restorative justice thing. So we went through the whole protocol, and I think it was like 3 days. Why you should not call someone's baby ugly. And so we get all the contracts signed and everybody's happy-go-lucky. And I'm walking back up to my office. These girls are walking toward the cafeteria. By the time I got into in my office, they were in the cafeteria fighting. So we just spent
it can't be fun for the teachers either. And so we're paying for this. We've got a far left-wing Marxist in right now as our we're a Republican state, sure, as our superintendent. Now he says, look, and by the way, he's by no means the Lone Ranger. Republicans want this. He wants to increase psychiatrists. He wants to basically make every school a psychiatry clinic. Now, they could collect copious amounts of data, no HIPAA. So many Black people in this country, and they rightfully say this, we don't want a police state. Right. This is a police state. I mean, if you look at the history of Russia and the abuse of psychiatry by the government, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but to me, it sets it up. And all these psychiatrists, I don't know if you've talked to any, but they're crazy as hell.
Oh, yeah. And I was just sitting there thinking, they could take your DNA and you wouldn't know it. Really, seriously. I'm not being funny. Just because you don't have to do it by blood, you could just swab their mouth and nobody would know.
Absolutely. And Honestly, it's the most ridiculous idea that I keep telling people that it can't be done. An average psychologist or psychiatrist, an office has about 42 to 50 patients because that's in-depth, intense stuff. So you're talking 50,
Parents should be doing.
right,
Parents should
right,
be doing outside of the school.
right, absolutely. So you're talking about a school with 1,500 students. How many psychologists and psychiatrists would you need at that one school to be able to serve all the students who need mental health in 180 days?
That's what they want.
And who's to say what their version of psychology is? I mean, if you're going to turn a kid into a trans kid, I mean, or against their parents, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or put them on antipsychotics.
Well,
you can't fill prescriptions at school.
I mean, psychology, and I'm telling you, you know this. You can talk vulnerable people into thinking they've got multiple personality disorder. That they're I mean, it's right, and especially a child. So
kids are so vulnerable.
It's silly. And so you think about it, if this child really needs ongoing mental health services, what happens during the summer? Does it just stop? Do the mental health issues stop during the summer? Because school's out during the summer.
What kind of
So what does the child do at that point?
They'll treat it like lunches. They'll start putting them out there in the summer. Come to the cafeteria and get your mental health.
Yeah, so this is going on. Now, I'm going to do something controversial, which is so off-brand for me.
I'm shocked.
You know what? It's a brand new day. I want to put this up though. This is great. This is Brian from the Locke Foundation. These are the numbers. This is real talk. So they increased the guidance counselors by 23%. Psychologists, and by the way, meanwhile, teachers' pay is like $42,000. These guys are double that. And you know, again, it points to an army of government shrinks.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I wanted to do something, like I said, controversial. Now, I know, I said, so our Speaker of the House, our new Speaker of the House, Destin Hall, you know, seems to be a nice guy, et cetera. I heard a lot of wonderful things. I'm not trying to disparage, but I'm out here keeping it real. Look, I'm just asking questions.
Okay. Right.
Now, like Candace, I'm just asking the question. Now, this is, I mean, he's got a wonderful, beautiful wife, et cetera, but she is a lobbyist for the North Carolina School Board Association. And okay, so I have to look, I want to play the good and the bad, but what they want, by the way, I'm going to put the agenda up. Some of the things we agree with: school calendar, school accountability. I'm going to go on record. I don't know if I ever have. I think that the Opportunity Scholarship schools should have a bit more transparency and accountability.
Absolutely.
Good. I'm glad we're
agreeing.
But if you look down here, what they want is pre-K students counted in the ADM. Okay.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. For more money.
Okay. So I just went over people's heads. Can one of you explain what that means?
It's more money. It means more federal dollars.
That's absolutely.
Tell the audience what ADM means and what it means for taxpayers.
Do you want to go or you want me to go?
Go, Annette.
So it is the per diems per student. Okay. So if we have them, if we can count those preschool students in there, then that's more money. It's what Margot said. We want more money.
Right. So there's what in North Carolina, I believe it is something on the order of how much? $13,000
per head.
$13,201.
They have to be in a seat for more than, I think, from like 8 to 12.
20, yeah, it's like 20, 21 days.
Right.
They have to be in that seat.
But you can't do it half a day like people think.
Right.
It has to be a full day. So they're talking about little ones. They want to keep in a program for a full day.
Right. Right.
Okay. And so
So
means,
all
look,
this,
they drop out, and then we're on the hook for that in perpetuity. Now, I know what they're trying to do.
Right.
They're trying to make up money on the back end because a lot of people left for opportunity scholarships. Let me tell you what opportunity, the thesis and the sell point on opportunity scholarships is this to the taxpayer is, listen, we're giving every family $7,500, which means we're going to save half of what we would owe on that ATM, plus families have choice and everybody wins. The problem is you're well aware, all of you are well aware, they haven't ratcheted back the money that they're giving to these students. So what we have is an unfunded mandate, but I digress. We'll get into it.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's be totally clear. North Carolina public schools are not short on funding. We don't track the money.
Oh, no.
We don't know where the money's going. And that's the issue. In each Title I school, and a lot of people don't know this, they automatically receive additional funding per student on top of the per diem. And if you have a parent teacher association, then they decide what to do with the money. But if you don't, and which most of these Title I schools don't, because parent involvement is so low, the principal gets to decide what to do with that money. And if you got 1,500 students, that's $1 million+ all left to the principal to decide how I want to spend it. And it has been spent on some crazy stuff in Mecklenburg County.
Hair weaves, nails,
umbrellas for the teachers and the student that work in the student pickup line, matching jackets, lunch boxes, organization. One principal was contracting out mentoring services to his cousins. So it's been used, but no one has to approve it. It's totally up to the principal if there's not a parent-teacher association. Now, if there's a parent-teacher association, they have to approve what that additional funding is being spent on. So a lot of people don't even know that they can go to the school. If their child's in a Title I school, they can go to their principal or the,
Let's explain what Title I means.
So Title I is based on the income levels of the families that go to that school.
High poverty schools.
So it's high poverty schools.
We have a lot of rural schools. I venture that we have probably one of the highest Title I concentrations in America.
Right. Absolutely. Yes, money. So what happens is, if I have a student at a Title I school and my student needs tutoring, I should be able to go to the principal and say, hey, that extra, this was years ago, I don't know what the amount is now, but that extra $750 my student gets every year, we need tutoring services. And the principal should say, okay, I'll bring in a tutorer. So a lot of parents don't even know about it. So the principal is totally the last authority to say what happens to that money.
So Annette, what you're really saying is the administration's where the cost is. The administration is where they hide the money and where the cost always is baked in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Look, Dave Bolak won my trust because he said, I'm auditing the schools. He told me that not once, not twice, but 3 times. I trust him, trust but verify, right? And so we're going to have to stay on him. Look, the upshot of this is that we have problems. We know that we have problems and that we have a Republican auditor.
Yes.
Now we have to do oversight.
Yes.
Dave Bolak, if you're listening, we're your worst nightmare.
He's got a lot of work ahead of him between the school system and the election board. Man, we're going to keep him hopping.
Hey, listen, it's totally crazy. And here in Mecklenburg County, I think we've gone through 5 superintendents within the last 10 years, something like that. And we have not had not one financial audit. And mind you, with one superintendent, $20 million went missing. And it was like,
By the way, what was his name?
oh gosh.
I know it is.
I can see his face, but
He's like a mini Mo Green. Remember him?
Let me see. Wilcox, is that the one you're talking about?
No, there's so many.
Yeah, there's been so many.
How do you
But
lose $20 million?
Well,
I don't know.
Dude, Catherine Truitt failed not 1, 2, 3 audits. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
what was it? Millions of dollars. Here's the thing.
13 million, I think.
You
13
can't-
to 17 million.
You cannot say, oh my God, they're cutting off federal funding. And you lose
Right.
$13 million each time. They need to cut off federal funding. I mean, do you think it grows on trees?
No, but I also think that if there's this much waste in state government when it comes to education, can you imagine what the Department of Education is? It's nothing but bureaucrats.
Exactly. And that's why Trump wants to get rid of it. They failed, I think, their last 2 or 3 audits also. Money, millions of dollars that they cannot account for. And so when you're talking about getting rid of the Department of Education, and so what Democrats have convinced, especially Black people in the Black community, is, oh, now your children are not going to be educated because they're going to get rid of the Department of Education, and your kids are going to be discriminated against by racists. Well, since 1972, since the Department of Education was created under Jimmy Carter, student scores have gone down. No student scores have improved.
Look, that, you know what? That is racism. Institutional racism is having Black and brown students not being able to read at 8th grade level. Look, I'm not a genius. I don't know what we need to do to remedy the situation, but it is a red alert. And that is institutional racism. We have to do something about it. Now, David Rouser, love him or hate him, he instituted a bill that says, look, we want to do away with the Department of Education and bring it to the states. Who knows better? Who knows better than the states? And by the way, we can leave them on the hook.
Mm-hmm.
It is a little worrisome to think that the state would get this money, because let me just say, we aren't the best at taking care of money and appropriating funds. Like, nobody ever knows where the lottery funds that are supposed to go to kids, nobody knows where that goes.
Right.
Black box.
That's right.
But I do think if we had the right leadership in place, that would absolutely be a good thing. I would hate to see that happen under Josh Stein. And I hope it does not happen under him. I'm hoping that this is going to be a process that could, play out for 4 years, because I don't think Trump's going to have the votes in Congress to do it. But I think we can start taking steps towards that. And then once we get a better governor, one that we know is not totally woke, then I would like to see it turned over to the state. But I would fear that happening now under Josh Stein.
Okay, so what if I told you that rumors abound that Tom Tillis and Jeff Jackson want to run for governor?
Wow.
You got to think about the bench. Who's out there? It's going to be Tom Tillis or Michael Watley or
Tom Tillis. I go into Clockwork Orange. It's triggering.
I know.
It is.
But we have to think ahead.
That would be scary.
Listen, you're Kendrick Lamar. Bitch, don't kill my vibe. You just did.
Exactly.
You killed my vibe.
I'm the realist here. I got to be real. I mean, the rumor is out there that Jeff Jackson is going to either run for governor or he's going to run for senator.
So Josh Stein knows he's a one-termer. Is that what we're saying?
I don't know yet.
You think so? I mean, I don't know. No, he's on cruise control. Look, he's path of least resistance kind of a guy.
Right.
And
Right.
then we know the social climber is Jeff Jackson.
Yeah.
I love him brawl. Oh, listen,
But
I gotta tell you,
here's
Jeff,
the deal.
I'm in your corner, man, on this one.
Right. If we concentrate on building the Republican Party and getting out there the information that we need to get, we can carry North Carolina. We have to help minorities understand that they've been loyal to one party for 60 years with zero results. Zero, nothing.
We have the numbers to prove it. We have the numbers to prove it.
I'm sorry?
We have the numbers to prove it.
Right. But the Democrat Party has instilled in so many minority minds is that it's all racism. The reason your children are not learning is racism. But at the same time, they're saying, listen, you guys don't have to parent your children. You're living in poverty. You're working 3 and 4 jobs. You're single moms. Don't worry about it. We're going to take care of it. Allow us to parent your children. And that's where the biggest breakdown has been. And so many people now are starting to realize and recognize that we actually turned over raising our children to the government.
Well,
and they're,
yes. Just to put it in perspective for you, I live in poor Appalachia. There's not much difference. It's not a color thing. It's a class thing. And what's happening is even here they do that. Put your kid in Head Start because then you can go do a job and we'll watch them for half a day. Then you put them in preschool. Then you put them. You see what I mean? The system runs on poor people just giving your kids. It doesn't matter the color. They just haven't. A lot of people haven't realized that.
Right. But I think now a lot of people are opening up and they're realizing like I was on, I think, a podcast and I said something about, the superintendent in Mecklenburg County, he was an interim superintendent, said, look, Black children are absent chronically. So if you get the Black children to schools, we can teach them. I promise you we will teach them. So I went back to the community and said, hey, all we got to do is get them to the bus stop. And it was so much outrage. And someone even said, we need our Black parents working. They can't get their children to school. And I'm like, what does it mean? If you don't have time to parent your children, if you are not making your children a priority, they're going to get left behind. And then I thought to myself, maybe that's the goal. So your whole family will be totally dependent upon the government forever.
In the circle.
Exactly. Generational poverty.
Remember that circle you were in? Get in that circle.
Yeah, exactly.
So look, here's the good news. I mean, I guess if we have any silver lining. So voters, there was actually just a poll done. It was commissioned by Locke Foundation Signal, who is a decent, pollster. They came up with this. This was like today. So, people are not happy, right? I mean, 52% or wait a minute, 55% are not really happy on this. And so, we've got a problem and everyone recognizes it. Now we need solutions. And I think now is the time that bold solutions, people are more receptive to it.
Yes. You're absolutely correct. And I think, go ahead, I'm sorry.
33% are somewhat, or 25% are somewhat satisfied.
7.5% are completely satisfied. Who is completely satisfied with a public school education?
Well, I will say this, we have some very, very good schools with hard workers and people that are
Mhm.
there for the right reasons. I mean, their mission in life is to do this, and they're selfless servants. They're like us,
Mhm.
they're down for the cause and they're doing it. So
Mhm.
that might reflect this.
Hmm.
They look at it as a calling, and
Yeah.
and that's what we see.
Mhm.
So I
That
mean,
could be, yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean,
Annette,
I mean,
what would you see in the future for people that are unhappy with the school system, not satisfied? Do you have some suggestions, just top of mind suggestions that like the low hanging fruit?
one of the things that I tell people is do what's best for you and what's best for your family. And if that means pulling your child out of a public school, then that's what you need to do. If you take advantage of those scholarship opportunities, because I mean, an education is an investment. And also, I would say get involved a lot. And I'm very vocal and I'm very honest. And a lot of Black parents
don't
are not
say.
involved.
You don't say. That's what I love about you. And by the way, that's why you take flack.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell people, if there is something that's happening at a school in the South Side, I know within a mile because the cars are lined up and whatever, the gymnasium, the auditorium is packed. We'll have an event on the West Side, and usually it's 5 or 6 parents. And people really expect those 5 or 6 parents to carry the school. And I'm like, no, we need all parents out here. And it used to be a lot of excuses. Well, we're working, we're doing this, we're doing that. But now we have technology and Zoom, and everybody has a cell phone. So if you can't actually sit in that audience, we'll send you a Zoom link and you join in. But if you are not involved in your child's education, and there should be no excuses, then your child is not going to be successful. And I think one of the things that we have to do, and that's why I'm happy to be a part of this Trump administration and their path moving forward, we have to stop coddling and babying Black parents. And it's just that simple.
Parents,
We
period.
have to,
Even poor parents. I get
even poor
the
parents.
same thing that I see up here.
Mhm.
They have to work in the factory, which starts at 7, so they can't get their kid to school on time. They can't pick them up on time. If they're sick, they can't take them home. Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
It's coddling parents. Period. I mean,
So
Absolutely.
you know what? You are like one of the most venerable voices in this. What organizations are you involved with? AEI, right?
Right.
Who,
I'm gonna tell you
AEI.
truthfully, not a lot of organizations want to be associated with me because I don't continue to push the agenda that Black parents can't, poor parents can't, single parents can't. I do not push that agenda. The agenda I push is you have to, because if you don't, nobody else will. And your children should always be a priority. I don't continue to push for funding. We need more money because we had a $50 million program, and the $50 million was for 4 schools. 4.
What the hell? In
It was
North
called
Carolina.
it was called Project Lift. And guess what? Throwing
Wow.
money at it didn't fix it. In fact, the test scores slipped.
wow.
So it's not the money, it's the parental involvement and how education is valued in the home. So if you say that, or I mean, Morgan says that, or Sloan, they're racist automatically because you're not understanding how, Black parents or parents living in poverty suffer. I am a Black parent. I raised 3 children as a single mother, 3 adopted children as a single mother. I
Wow.
worked full time. I did what I had to do. So you can also do it unless you've been told you don't have to do it. And that's where we are. And I think the Trump administration, we're really going to work on changing that. We're going to hold parents accountable, and we're going to hold students accountable, and educators.
Now, you're very close to the Trump administration, and
Yeah.
that makes me so happy. I mean, because you are the voice. I mean, you are a truth teller. Glad he has you on board, and we're going to do this. Look, I'm going to put this up too. This is kind of in keeping with what people want, what they voted for. This pisses me off, and I'm not really sure if it's true.
Right.
Me pissed off is just so uncharacteristic of me. So
Strongly opposed. Really?
okay. So here's what I think. This is again from Signal Polling, who John Locke commissioned it and tipped my hat. What is it? 33% of all voters in North Carolina are in favor of abolishing the federal education system. I mean, they want it gone. They want U.S. Department of Education. I think what they know what's going on is probably going to be more on the order of 60%. So we have a lot of work to do to tell people that
this is
go
good.
down the river.
Yeah. Wow, that's very interesting data. I would really like to see the subtext to this and really get in the weeds on the numbers.
Go to the crosstabs.
I will.
Yeah. Go to the Locke Foundation. I think it's Locke Foundation or Carolina.
Here's the thing. Here's the takeaway from this for me, Annette. I don't know about you, but we have some work to do to make people understand why this is good.
Yes. Absolutely. And, I know that a lot of situations are different and a lot of home environments are different, but I also think that we have to embrace this technology. Even if you are working in a factory, which my parents did, you get a 30-minute lunch break. You set up that phone, you talk to that teacher while you're eating your lunch. So we have a lot of things that need to change. And I think that we're in a great position to actually change those things. And I think that we're in a great position to talk to parents and let them know that you can be involved in your child's life, education, even if you don't have a high school diploma. And I heard that a lot of parents living in poverty don't have high school diplomas, but you named your child. Teach them how to spell their name. You can teach them a red ball.
Look, they're told we are the experts. What do you know about education, etc.? I mean, I'm just going to say it. Education degree right now is probably one of the easiest to get. So, a lot of people are very learned. A lot of parents are very learned. They've, saw COVID. They did a lot of research, and I mean, they can run circles. In fact, they probably, they could probably run schools. And a lot of these teachers, I mean, they're acting in bad faith, right?
Yes.
They're telling people we're stupid, we don't know. That's going to stop. People are getting pissed too.
Right. Absolutely. And we've got to empower parents. One of the things that I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to be making videos for those parents who, might not have completed high school, to show them how you can teach your child at home with everyday things, with programs on the TV. You can pause that, you can pause that program and say, hey, what do you think is going to happen next? Or what is this character's name? Or what color is the shirt he's wearing? Simple things that parents can do that would empower them and get up their confidence.
Once a week. I mean, baby steps.
Baby steps.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to make it like a second job.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think it's interesting that technology may be one of the thwarters of the idea of somebody can't do it. When you could say something like, if you can FaceTime your friends, you can call the teacher. You can FaceTime. I mean, What we don't see is the transition from positivity with their social life to
Right.
positivity with the scholastic life, and we have to make it happen.
Absolutely. And I think, again, there was a reason behind that push. Just turn your children over to us and you go and live your life, and we're going to take care of them. And we have to push back on that. We have to keep parents involved so they know what's going on in schools.
Look, I mean, parents are, they trust, probably to their detriment,
Yes.
doctors. Yeah, I mean, we're raised to respect. I mean, we are the South, right?
Mhm.
We trust, we don't verify, etc. Things are changing.
Yes.
And the reason why we're taking flack is because we're on the forefront of letting
Mhm.
people know, hell no, we're in
Mhm.
charge.
Right.
We take
Well,
charge.
part of this too, Annette, I see, is teaching parents to be an advocate for their child in more than just
Yes.
the relationship of studying and
Mhm.
teaching them academically. It's also being the advocate for the school. A parent who may not have a high school diploma still knows their child is behind and has a deficit.
Absolutely.
They still know the things that they need to advocate for.
Absolutely. And actually, that's one of the things I am going to be doing also. The one group that loves to associate with me, and I love them, is Mothers for Liberty. And I have been able to undemonize them in certain circles. And we're going to do a standoff group that falls under that umbrella, where a couple of Black advocates in Charlotte, and we're going to go out and we're going to go to these churches and to these neighborhoods, and we're going to teach parents and parents living in poverty how to advocate for their own children and what they need to be looking out for. So that's one of the things that I'm really excited about.
Yeah,
I think
demystifying the process and like giving people bite-sized things. I mean, we need to meet people where they're at. Not
Right.
everyone, in fact, very few people are going to be as outspoken as we are. I
Right.
mean, maybe they make a social media post a week. That's
Right.
a deal for people. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the other part of it is, I don't care, black, white, I don't care what color. When you're poor and you're a young mom, there's so many things against you. You absolutely need a safety net to help you feel confident in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to hear the Democrats, Morgan, you would think that no one is poorer than the Black community. And it absolutely is not true. Only, I think, on a national average, 14 to 17% of Black people are living in poverty. That's huge out of 42 million people. Actually, like you said, it's Hispanics and rural areas where you have the most people living in poverty. The Democrats have screwed it in the minds.
Look at Hope County. I mean, look at Northampton. Look at, I mean, extreme poverty.
Extreme
and they can be victimized.
Yes,
So,
easily and manipulated.
Yeah.
I owe you a Coke. Well, it's been so fun to get to meet you and talk through this. And honestly, I'd love to see us do like a whole hour on ways we can empower moms and parents, because this is such a big topic. And it, listen, you're in Charlotte, Sloan's in Raleigh. I'm in Western North Carolina.
Yeah. I mean, you got a direct line to Trump, which is wonderful. I mean, and we really need people like you in his ear.
Right. Do you know the most flack I get is that I don't represent the average Black person and I'm bougie. My dad, yes, you think you're better. My dad had a 3rd grade education, my mom a 7th grade education.
Wow.
But what they pushed on their kids was education.
Right.
And I'm like, I worked in tobacco fields, people. We lived on a farm. We grew our own stuff because we couldn't afford it. But if you take advantage, and I tell people this all the time, forget all the other government handouts. Take advantage of that 12 years of free education. And people don't like that because I'm not pushing for the EBT and Section 8 and but those are that keeps you in generational poverty. But if you take advantage of that 12 years of education, you can take off. And that's the most pushback I get.
So my dad was a poor kid from a farm. And he went in the military and was 16 years old, but he did graduate from high school. But his saying always was, 2 things in life are free that will get you somewhere: an education, and they can't take it away from you, and good manners. Good manners, good manners, good manners.
Good manners. Yes, absolutely. And that, that kind of segues into school discipline.
Correct.
You have to discipline children. They need guidance.
They love it. I have to tell you,
no circle.
I'm not like the cool mom, but I have more kids over here than probably any other parent that I know, daughter and son, and they come over here, and I have, especially the boys, they're like, you know what? You're a lot stricter than my mom. You expect something of me and you keep it real. And I mean, they don't have that, some of them. By the way, if you're listening and you're my friends, my son's friends, it's not you I'm talking about, it's the other ones. But anyway, I mean, but they love, because they come in the house and I am the Southern white Jewish Medea.
Right.
Love it. Beat somebody with my purse, come and say, what are you doing? Are you an idiot, etc. I mean, if we had teachers like that, of course, they'd probably be fired. But it's what's needed. It's what's needed.
I'm going to tell you, Sloan, the school that I was assaulted at, like I said, when I was working there, 4 days in, I saw a riot. Okay. And I'm standing in the door like, what in the world? It was horrible. By the end of the second year, and the educators, they were afraid of the students. I wasn't. I worked in a prison.
Yeah, right.
At the end of the second year, when students saw me coming around the corner, they would run to class.
And they loved you.
And they loved me. The group of students that assaulted me had just come back from the alternative school.
Oh, wow.
So they were going to push against the grain. And I was like, no, you're going to class or you're going to get suspended. Which one? And as I continued to call for backup, no one came.
They need boundaries. Kids need boundaries. We need to push for that.
Right. And so if I could turn around an entire school that went from riots to 2 years later, they're like, oh, here comes Miss Albright, stop cussing. Then why can't we discipline kids?
Absolutely.
We can, and we should, and we need to. So look, great having you on. We've got a lot to talk about. I love the fact that, again, you've got Trump's ear. You're doing a lot of education. How can people find you?
I'm on Facebook under Annette Albright. Okay. And then I'm on X under Inez Albright, because I got locked out of my account and they wouldn't give me a new one. They wouldn't let me in. So I had to go under Inez Albright, which is actually my first name. So just look for Albright and you should find me. Reach out to me anytime. I'm willing to step in and help you with whatever you need.
Yes.
Well, if I'm in Charlotte, I'm going to come by and give you a hug and have lunch.
We're going to be in Charlotte. We're going to be in
Charlotte. Yes, let's do it.
We're going to CPAC. If you're going to go to CPAC, we'll be at CPAC too.
Okay. I think Brooke asked me to go and I haven't looked into it yet, but I'm thinking about it.
Well, let us know if you go. We'd love to have, drinks and sit down and have a talk.
By the way, I thought we weren't going to tell people we're at CPAC. I thought we were keeping it like on the down low. No?
I can't keep a secret, obviously.
You can. Here's the pink comb again. I'm bringing the pink comb out. You can't keep a secret.
Uh-oh. I've been combed.
She got the pink comb. Listen, this isn't a great whipper, but I tell you what, a brush. Ooh, that'll keep it straight.
Ladies, it's been lovely. It's so good to get to meet you in person. Well,
virtually in person. But Yes, ladies, I am excited. I don't know about anybody else, but I am excited about what's going to happen with education in these next 4 years. And I've been doing this for 7 years, but I am truly excited about the next 4 years and what we're going to see in education.
We just can't stop winning.
We can't stop winning.
We're on the forefront. Love us or hate us, we ain't stopping.
That's right.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, good night, ladies. Thank you very
All
much.
right.
Follow Annette. We're going to have you on again probably in a month. Let's
Sounds
keep the
good.
conversation going, and let's make sure that the government, whether it's state, watching you, Dave Bolak, Destin Hall, no pressure. No you got the pink cone, boys. We're watching you. We expect a lot from you, and and thank you. And Margot, listen, nobody fights harder. Nobody fights harder for girls' rights in schools than Margot.
Yes.
We help each other. We all win together.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. Common sense policies, people. Common sense policies.
Common sense. We all need it. All right. Well, thank you guys. And we will see you. Yeah, we will see you on Thursday. And we're going to have on Angela Vanderplum. Sounds like a character from Clue. And we're going to get deeper into what's going to happen in education as far as higher ed and having these teachers, these radical teachers, and how to kind of cut that off at the pass. So don't forget 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, excuse me. Set your time, set your reminder on Twitter, and we will be there. Thank you very much.
All righty. Thank you. Good night.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
That's a wrap on today's NC Political Tea. We hope you're leaving sharper, spicier, and ready to take on the political craziness in the Tar Heel State. If you loved what you heard, or even if it made you mad, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this show with your friends, family, and that one coworker who just needs the truth. Follow us on social media to stay in the loop and get your daily dose of conservative fire. And remember, here in North Carolina, the grassroots grows stronger when we stand together. Until next time, keep the faith, keep up the fight, and don't let the left water down your tea. This is NC Political Tea, where we spill it like it is.